There is a job on this planet with 20 openings. Not 20,000, 20. The salary runs from about $1 million a year at the bottom to north of 60 million at the top. The company car is the fastest machine on Earth, and 500 million people watch you work on Sundays. And the application fee is $10 million, payable across your childhood, in cash, upfront, with no refunds, and no guarantee that anyone will ever read your application at all. That is not a metaphor. That is, within rounding error, the actual price of finding out whether you are good enough to drive in Formula One. Nobody invoices it in one line, which is how the sport gets away with it. It arrives as 2 decades of kart engines and airline tickets and tyre bills and racing school invoices, paid by parents, sponsors, and strangers. Almost all of it spent before the applicant is old enough to sign his own contracts. Formula One likes to call itself the purest meritocracy in sport, the fastest 20 drivers alive. This video is about the machine underneath that sentence, and what it actually costs to be allowed to prove you are fast. Start where every single one of them starts. A go-kart and a parent who has no idea what they have just agreed to. Karting at the entry level is honest and almost affordable. A club-level season, a second-hand kart, local circuits, weekends with a trailer, runs a family a few $1,000s a year. It is a hobby, like junior football with fuel. And if your child is ordinary at it, it stays a hobby and the family economy survives. The trap springs when the child is good, because karting has a ladder inside it. Club to regional to national to European, and every rung multiplies the bill. National level karting means factory equipment, fresh tyres every session, an engine builder, a driver coach, and travel every second weekend. And now the hobby costs as much as a salary, 50 to 100,000 a year. The top of international karting, the World Championship level, where Formula One academies actually watch, costs $250,000 a season for a 12-year-old. Families at this level talk about their seasons the way other families talk about mortgages, because, in a documented number of cases, it literally was the mortgage. There are drivers on the current grid whose families sold their house and moved into a caravan to pay for exactly this stage. That is not a rags to riches flourish. That is the standard price of admission. And the caravan families are the lucky ones, because they are the ones who got far enough for anyone to write it down. And here is the first honest thing this video needs to say. This stage, karting, is where Formula One actually holds its trials. And the entry ticket means the trials are incomplete. The sport measures talent among the children whose families could afford to present them for measurement. Somewhere out there, statistically, beyond argument, are drivers with world championship nervous systems who never got past the club level because the money ran out at 9 years old. We will never know their names. The sport has no mechanism for knowing their names. Every conversation about the greatest of all time carries an invisible asterisk that nobody reads out loud. Greatest of all time, among the funded. Now the single-seater ladder, and this is where the numbers stop being family-sized and start being corporate. Formula 4, the first real racing car, costs roughly $200,000 to $350,000 a season. Formula 3, at the international level, $700,000 to $1 million. And Formula 2, the final step, the support race that shares a paddock with Formula 1 itself, costs somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million for one season. Read that again slowly. The last job interview before Formula 1 costs $3 million, lasts a year, and pays effectively nothing. There is no salary in F2. There is barely prize money worth the name. The economics of the entire ladder are the mini-tour model with more zeros. The drivers bring the budget funds the teams, and the product being sold, ultimately, is the dream itself. Junior racing is not a sport that happens to cost money. It is a market where seats are sold, and driving talent is a discount coupon. So who actually pays? 3 kinds of people, and the whole modern grid is a blend of them. The first is family money. and the range is absurd. At one end, the father's with 4 jobs, the famous story every fan knows. The family remortgaging everything on a boy who turned out to be a generational answer. At the other end, billionaires, and the sport has stopped even being shy about it. There is a man on the recent grid whose father, faced with the problem of finding his son a Formula 1 seat, solved it by purchasing an entire Formula 1 team. That is not a scandal, exactly. It is just the ladder's logic followed all the way up. If every rung is for sale, so is the top one. The second payer is the academies, and this is the sport's answer to its own paywall. So let's be fair to it. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, they scout karting like farm systems, and when they sign a 12 or 14-year-old, they start paying the bills the family cannot. Multiple current stars exist only because an academy money cannoned them up the ladder. The sons of taxi drivers and shop workers standing on podiums next to the sons of billionaires. But read the contract before you applaud. An academy is not a scholarship, it is an option. The team funds your ladder in exchange for control of your career, and the moment your results dip, at 15, at 17, mid-season, the funding can stop, and everyone in the paddock knows which energy drink company is famous for exactly that. The academy kid lives his entire adolescence one bad quarter from deletion, which is the same deal the mini tour golfer gets, except the golfer is an adult who chose it. The third payer is sponsors and nations. The regional oil company, the telecom billionaire adopting a countryman, the state that wants a driver on the grid as a flag. This is where the phrase pay driver comes from, and the sneer misunderstands the economics. On the modern ladder, every driver is a pay driver. Every single one arrived on somebody's money, family, academy, or sponsor. The only question is whose money and how loudly it negotiated. And because ledgers are abstract and childhoods are not, walk through one real arc, the one the paddock itself uses as its proof that the system can work. A boy from a town in Normandy, father a mechanic, mother working the till. He is quick in a cart, properly quick, and the family does the full sequence this video has been describing. They sell the house, they sell the business, and they tow the cart around Europe living in a caravan, parents and child, for years, chasing national titles on fumes. It works, barely, in the only way it ever works. He wins enough, young enough, that an academy picks up the bills before the family runs completely dry. Mercedes options him. The ladder gets climbed on a manufacturer's card. And today, he is a Grand Prix podium finisher with a decade in the sport, and his story gets told, correctly, as heroic. Now hold the same story up to the light and read the fine print. The heroism required liquidating everything a working family had ever owned, and it still only succeeded because a corporation decided at the exact right moment that the boy was worth adopting. The caravan is not the inspiring part. The caravan is the entry fee. The inspiring part is that the roulette ball happened to land. Then look at the other end of the same grid, because the sport's greatest current driver is the opposite experiment, run perfectly. A father who was himself a Formula 1 driver, with the money, the contacts, and the obsession to match, builds a racing childhood the way engineers build a car. Hundreds of kart races across a continent, the father preparing the engines personally, vans driven through the night from circuit to circuit, a curriculum of racing so total it left no room for anything else. The boy debuts in Formula 1 at 17, the youngest ever, and becomes by most measures the fastest driver of his generation. Both stories are true, the caravan and the program, and notice what they agree on. Neither one was cheap. The working family paid with everything they had. The racing family paid with everything too. It just had more. Talent decided nothing until money had first decided who got to show their talent. That is the ladder in one sentence, and both of its greatest success stories say it out loud. Now put the funnel together, because the numbers deserve to stand next to each other. Tens of thousands of children race karts seriously worldwide. Call it 40,000 in the pipeline at any moment. The single-seater ladder admits a few hundred a year. Formula 2 fields around 22 cars, and Formula 1 has 20 seats, of which, in a normal year, 1, 2, maybe 3 actually change hands. Follow that arithmetic honestly, and it says something no other sport says. Spending the entire $10 million, doing everything right, winning at every level, gets a driver to a waiting room where there are still 10 times more qualified applicants than chairs. The ladder does not end at Formula One. It ends at a door with 20 names on it, and the door opens at the sport's convenience, not yours. Which is why the super license, the actual piece of paper, is almost a punchline. After the decade, after the millions, after the karting titles and the F2 campaign, a driver must also accumulate a points threshold across junior series to legally qualify, and then pay for the license itself, a base fee plus a charge for every championship point scored the previous season. The best drivers pay the most. The sport charges its stars annually for the privilege of having been good, which, by the time you have watched the rest of this ladder, will not even surprise you. And what happens to the ones who spend it all and miss? This is the part the highlight reels never touch. The boy who was brilliant at 14 and merely excellent at 19 does not get a refund. He gets, if he is lucky, a soft landing in sports cars or endurance racing, or a manufacturer program, racing for a wage in championships you have never watched. If he is less lucky, he gets a sim rig, a coaching job, and a decade of being asked, whatever happened with the racing thing? The family's money is gone either way. An entire childhood converted into a skill so specialized it has 20 employers on Earth, and the interview came back no. Most of the $10 million applications end exactly there, in silence, and the sport never mentions them again, because the sport's whole mythology depends on you watching the 20 who made it and concluding the system works. But then, the asymmetry, because there is a reason the caravan families keep signing up. If the application succeeds, the payoff curve goes vertical. A rookie earns $1 million or so, a proven midfield driver 5 to 15, the champions 40, 50, 60 million a year, plus endorsements for a decade or more, plus the strange immortality this channel usually deals in. The 21st best driver in the world earns a tiny fraction of the 20th, in some years effectively nothing at all, and that cliff, 1 seat wide, is the entire gamble. Families are not irrational. They are buying a lottery ticket where the jackpot is $500 million and legend status, and the ticket costs $10 million, and the draw takes 15 years, and you have to hand over your child to enter. So here is the honest closing arithmetic. Formula One really is a meritocracy at the end. Nobody survives at that level on money alone. The sport is too hard, the cars too honest, and the pay drivers who genuinely could not drive have always been found out within a season. The lie is not at the top of the ladder, the lie is at the bottom, where the meritocracy holds its qualifying rounds behind a $10 million paywall and then points at the winners as proof of fairness. The fastest 20 drivers alive? No, the fastest 20 applications that cleared funding. Usually those overlap. We will never find out how often they don't. Every grid of 20 is standing on roughly 40,000 childhoods that paid to hold the door open. The next time the lights go out on a Sunday, spend 1 second on the ones who were 2/10 quicker at 11 years old and whose fathers did not own a bank. If you want what this sport does to the ones who do make it through the door, the stories are all over this channel. Start with the man who fixed a Grand Prix or the champion who walked away. And tell me in the comments, honestly, your kid is 9, quick as anything, and the next rung costs your house. Do you sell? Because thousands of families answered yes, and 20 of those answers are on television every other Sunday.